So I just wanted to say thank you very much to Rich and Tesla Owners Club New York State for helping organise this for our members. It's a big thing for lots of us to want to drive and experience this car, and we can't. So this is the best we've got at the moment. So I just want to thank both of them for helping out. And I will pass you over to Rich. I'll stop sharing my screen. Over to you, Rich.
Excellent, thank you. Thanks to Stephen and the New York Club here for asking me to do another one of these walkarounds. I did one for our New York Club, I guess it was about 6 or 8 weeks ago. So happy to meet you all. To give you the quick background here, I am coming out of a Model 3, which I waited about 1.5 years for. I picked that up in November of 2018. And about 6 months later, they unveiled the Model Y. And it was at that time that I said, I love the Model 3. I didn't have any problems with it, no complaints at all. Never been much of a sedan guy, but wow, the Model Y with, you know, a little bit larger, kind of that crossover type of deal, that's for me. And put a deposit on it and went ahead and traded the Model 3 in for this Y. Just this past March in the height of our pandemic, at least. So I took no contact delivery of this vehicle right when they started offering that and right before they shut down the factory. So I was lucky in that respect. That was an interesting experience, but they did a good job with it. This is a Model Y. It is, so again, I'm coming out of the Model 3, which was, I had the mid-range rear wheel drive. And when I traded that in and ordered the Model Y, I went for what it can get right now, which is the all-wheel drive, and it's the long range. So I've got the 75 kilowatt battery pack. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I'm hearing a lot of background noise.
Yeah, there's a little bit of background.
As I find them, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, picked it up in March and obviously been driving it for a few months now. Happier with this than I was with the Model 3, if that's possible. And as I said, it's the long range all-wheel drive. So I'll give you a quick kind of walk around of the interior here, and I'll speak to it from a perspective of versus a Model 3, if that makes sense. Obviously, if you have any questions, fire away. I'll do my best to answer any questions here. Oh, along the way, I also installed solar on my roof last November and got a fall. So I'm all in at this point. They got me. I'm all in. The rating on the long range here with this 75 kilowatt battery on the Model Y is 316 miles, which I think translates into around 508 kilometers, I believe, if I'm doing my math right here. The interior, they say overall that the vehicle shares 75% of its parts with the Model 3. If I had to guess, it's less than that. It's maybe 50% because everything is a different size. Everything's a little bit larger. The easy comparison here is it's an oversized Model 3, but there are a few features and improvements definitely that have really come through here that I'll point out along the way. The first is above me is obviously the roof. The entire roof now is glass in this vehicle. We're not getting it. We are into the summer here now, and it definitely gets warm. I'm not going to say hot. I haven't had any real issues with it being too hot, but I can feel the heat when the sun is shining coming through this. Other than that, though, it's beautiful. Very happy with that. It gives you more headroom as well, right? Because you don't have that beam now between the front and the back seats. So I've got, I'm 6 foot tall. I've got plenty, probably 5-6 inches of headroom here before I hit the glass with my head. So definitely more than the Model 3. So rear seating space, cargo space here in the interior. Might be a little tough to make out here with my phone camera, but huge amount of space in the back seat. It's got this middle here, which folds down for cup holders. Those are reclined, which I can show you when I open the back door. But I've got my driver's seat back pretty much all the way, and you can see that there's plenty of legroom, much more than the Model 3 in this Model Y. Other than that, in the back, having more space, more legroom, and having reclining seats, it's pretty much the same. We've got the lights in different positions and coat hooks in different positions, but that's differences in the back seat there. They are the same exact seats as the Model 3, the latest version of those seats, as I understand it. They're up on risers, so that brings you up even higher. The vehicle itself, I believe, is 7.1 inches higher than the Model 3, but with these front seats being on the risers, and I can show you again when I step out how high that is, it brings you up even further and really gives you kind of a much higher perspective when you're driving on the road. What I'll do is, I think, show you on the outside, the front, and the back. One of the nice improvements that they made, well, one of the new things that they've added was a self-charging pad here for your cell phone. And this just plugs in. This whole pad is included with the vehicle now. That's something new that they added. They're doing that on the 3 yet, but I think they're going to. But that's standard on the Model Y. Speaking of the console, I have this wrapped in a stealth wrap because one thing they didn't change, which was one of my pet peeves, is that shiny piano black console, which just attracted dust and fingerprints, and it made me crazy. So I had this wrapped with that stealth wrap, and it really works nicely and doesn't helps to hide all the prints and that sort of thing. And by the way, this is an actual battery cell from Sandy Monroe. I don't know if you've watched any of those teardown videos on YouTube. They were really interesting. I watched them all here as I was waiting for my Y, and I ended up buying this from him. He was selling these. So this is one of, I think, 4,400 cells in a 75 kilowatt battery. He signed it and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought I'd show that to you.
That was pretty awesome.
As far as, yeah, it was good. I don't know if you've watched those videos, but they're worth it. A lot of efficiencies and manufacturing improvements in this vehicle, which I won't really get into too much of that. But it feels good to know that it's just, they've really improved upon everything they built with the amazing Model 3. What else can I add here? I will say before I get out, driving this vehicle feels like it's a lot more solid than the Model 3. I'll use an example of shutting the doors, for example. It's much quieter in here than the Model 3. You don't hear the road noise. You definitely don't hear the wind. They've upgraded things like the weather stripping around all the doors. Those are heavy duty now. I know that was one of the complaints on the 3. I never really thought it was a big deal, but this is noticeably in the 3. But it overall feels just like a lot more solid, if that makes sense. The handling is amazing, and I'm happy to have all-wheel drive. I do a lot of skiing, and I go up into the snowy areas, so I'm happy to have the all-wheel drive. Any questions about anything on the interior? Would you like to see anything further in here before I step out?
On the steering wheel.
Yeah, so Jason has said it looks like a sunshade might be needed for the glass roof. You know, how does that affect you or your passengers? Have you noticed an issue?
No, it is tinted, so I've never had a problem from a light perspective. It's more so the heat, I think. And I know they do make now some interior shades that kind of fit in this pocket area to block out all of that. I personally, it hasn't bothered me that much to take that step. If anything, I think the issue, the heat, if you're in a hot climate with a bright sun versus light. Light doesn't, it's tinted, so that it's not an issue with bright sunlight.
Sure, yeah. And is there a middle headrest for the middle rear seat?
Yes, there is. It pops up. It's not up right now, but it does pop up.
Cool.
So let me take you around back there.
And yeah, someone said, you mentioned skiing, fitting skis in the trunk. Is there a hatch? I'm sure you can show that in a second.
I will. One of the modifications I made to this that I couldn't make on the 3, at least my model of the 3, was the installation of a hitch. And there's a brand or a model called the Eco Hitch that I went ahead and had installed here for much less than what Tesla now offers as the factory hitch option. That wasn't even available up until about a month ago. That's the first modification I made, really the only modification, I guess, other than tinting these front windows. So I do have a bike hitch. There's towing capacity. I don't plan to tow with this vehicle. I don't have anything to tow. So I use it for a bike rack and a ski rack. But yeah, to your point, that cargo space back there is phenomenal. Then you fold those back seats down, plenty of space.
Awesome.
The wheels are the 20-inch induction, so I did upgrade to that, mainly just because I think they look a lot nicer. As you guys all probably know, it's all chrome delete. I also love that look as well. I love this color. My Model 3 was black, and I don't car again. That just showed every single little piece of smear marks and scratches and dust and everything. But I did go with the 20-inch induction wheels. As you would imagine, the frunk is much larger. The only difference here, other than size, is they are using this plastic seal around the top, which, as I understand it, to keep debris out of the frunk. And I can't really say I found on my Model 3 any debris ever in the frunk, but I did always have to clean up leaves around this area outside of it. But I guess they did it for a reason, and I'm guessing that's what it was for. The car does not come with HomeLink. I don't know if that's an option in the UK or not. HomeLink is integrated that opens up your garage door and close your garage door as you enter and leave your property. So the Model Y, they charge extra for that. They didn't include it like they did on my Model 3.
Yeah, I think in the UK it's like a £300 or maybe £500 accessory afterwards. So.
Okay. Yeah, and I believe they're going to make it a paid accessory on Model 3 going forward too. I think I read. Another great enhancement here is the trunk, the automatic trunk. So really makes it much easier to get in and out. It's a very low loading area, so it's very easy to get things in and out from the trunk if they're heavy. You'll see on the left here, these are the releases for the back seats. So they kind of fold down when you hit those buttons. And if I take you around here to the back, they don't go up with those buttons. They only fold down. You have to go back and do it manually. And they give you a little switch here to kind of recline them as well. So there's a different angle in the back to show you the amount of room they give you.
Rich, there was a question in the chat that wanted to know if the rear seats are any higher up than on the Model 3 while you're back there.
It's a good question. I know they're at least 7.1 inches higher because the vehicle's 7.1 inches higher. They're not on risers of any kind. So I don't think, other than the 7.1 inches, they're any higher. I'm not 100% sure of that, but that's my guess. Versus the front, well, let's take a look, because when you look at the level, they're as high as the front. And you can see, hopefully, can you guys see the riser there under the seat?
Yes, yes.
So that jacks you up there a bit further. So, you know what? In looking at both of these, I would guess that they are higher. So you've got the vehicle height of 7.1 inches, and then the additional height from the risers in the front and the higher back seats. Makes it
Which
a
is
lot
going to
easier
be
getting
good
in.
for adults as well, long distance road trips, etc. A bit more legroom, because some people always said that their knees were quite high up.
Yeah, 100%. I sit in the back of this car, and it's, again, I'm 6 foot and plenty of leg room, very comfortable, much more so than the 3.
And we just had another
So,
question. Do the rear windows go all the way down on those back doors?
they do not.
They do not. Okay.
They do not. I like the tinting that they put on the back hatch as well as the rear windows. They didn't do that in the front. I had that done aftermarket. Not quite as dark because
We've just lost your audio, Rich. 2 secs.
So it shows you the buttons there that kind of release the back seats. The trunk also has very deep wells on the right and left. Often I'll put the groceries in there or something because they won't fall over. And then underneath
We've lost the audio. I can't hear anything.
Yeah, Rich, could you just double check your audio for me? It's probably connected to the car. I could hear you faintly, but yeah. I couldn't hear
Okay,
you properly.
gotcha. Yep, I wanted
to
take the phone off the Bluetooth there. Is that better?
No worries. Yeah, that's better.
And let me know if the picture's okay.
You're currently stuck.
Good. So, yep, the trunk has a very, very deep well here, as well as a second one in front of it, not as deep.
Sorry, Rich,
plenty
just
of
to
storage
interrupt
space.
your video's just frozen. I don't know if it's just for me or everyone.
No, same here.
Yeah, frozen here too.
There we go.
There we go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry
we
about
can hear
that.
you and see you. That's cool.
Yeah, so you have storage space under these 2 panels for your adapters, for your cords, for anything that you want. Really, really nice to have that. So a massive amount of cargo space, especially when those back seats are folded down. They do have a recall on, this is one of 2 problems I've had on these panels on the back of the rear seats. These are not staying in, these little, apparently there's a recall on that and they're going to be fixing it for me. Not a big deal. I had a problem with my charging port as well, which they replaced.
And have you had the issue with the trunk alignment on the rear lights? That seemed to have been a fairly common one.
You know, I read it all the time, but I have not had any complaints about panel gaps or alignment.
That's good to hear. And
Honestly,
a few have asked if there's, I don't know if you call it a parcel shelf in the US, but is there anything on the back trunk? I don't know if it's called that. Is it called a parcel shelf?
I know, like a second tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they didn't give you one, and people, I think, were looking for something like that more so.
Oh, we've just lost you again, Rich. It's because you keep opening the trunk, I think.
We don't have a word in the U.S. for that, as far as I know. I don't think we've ever called it a parcel shelf. Parcel shelf is what you call it?
Yeah, that's what we call it. Yeah, I was
Okay.
unsure if that was the term, but
I don't think there is one in the Model X, you know.
I think the Model S has one, from what I recall.
Yeah,
And the X does, but I don't think the X.
No, the X has one.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I don't think mine did.
Can you guys hear me?
We can't
Can
hear
hear
you.
you, just can't see you.
it's because I keep asking you to open the trunk, I think. You keep connecting to your car.
Certainly, my X doesn't have a partial shelf in it. So yeah, I don't think they generally do.
Yeah,
No, the seats fold back quite well, so there's no need to have one really.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm gonna
definitely
disconnect and come right back in.
the
Okay,
Rich, cool.
seven-seater and the six-seater Model X definitely has a parcel shelf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it could
Well,
just
I've just got a 5-seater, so maybe
yeah,
that
the
doesn't.
5-seater
Yeah, so-
doesn't. Yeah.
yeah, you could think about the configuration. If I think about the configuration, it won't work in a 5-seater. But yeah, the seven and the 7 and the 6 has it.
Yeah.
There was an update too that they said, I believe they're going to be bringing track mode to the Model Y as well for the Model Y performance. So something else to look forward to.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
If you have any other questions about the Y, I might be able to answer them. Unless William, you might know the answers as well.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay,
Oh, Rich is
I'm
back.
back.
Hey.
Here we go.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's fine.
The last thing I wanted to show you in terms of modifications was, I think I mentioned the hitch. So I went with aftermarket, which is down here, called Eco Hitch. I'm sure it will be available as soon as the Y is available in the UK and Europe. Kind of a neat design here where you just pull it off. It's very strong magnet that holds in to the hitch that they've installed. So for me, this was something that just for my own personal use, I thought was better than the 3. Again, not much of a sedan guy. No complaints about the 3 at all. It's just this vehicle suits my needs a little bit better than the 3. So those are kind of the highlights, I think. Happy to answer any other questions.
So one question was, what's the rear visibility like? It looks less than the 3.
Definitely is. Definitely is a lot less. I'll step in and I'll show you. So you can kind of get a sense there.
And I guess because of the height of the car as well, it hides anything that's really behind you.
Really, more so the angle, I think. That's a very, it's a very slight angle of the back, and it doesn't allow for a very low visibility, as you can see. You know, when I'm using the rear view mirror, it's hard to kind of show you guys over this, but I know people have complained about it. It hasn't hurt me at all. I haven't found any issues with it. I don't find it unsafe at all. So
it's a bit like the X.
Oh, they want me to
used to the visibility on the X as well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever driven a X or S, Rich?
I have the loaners. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely different experience. Actually, I didn't drive the X. I've sat in the X. But the S, I found a completely different vehicle. The way it handled, it was just a few months ago, as a matter of fact. It felt much heavier. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I felt like it was a very heavy vehicle. Wasn't quite as nimble as the 3. Certainly not this one either. But beautiful, amazing. Completely different. Someone asked me to sit in the back seat, so hopefully you can get a view of, again, my driver's seat here is back all the way. My passenger seat back is about 3/4 of the way. And, you know, in terms of height and legroom, I'm pretty good.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah, good. And one other question was, do the rear seats fold fully flat, or is there a bit of a lip? Or
There is a bit of a lift. I do have a little complaint about that, and I've read about this too. Other people are finding this when you fold, they're a 60-40 split, maybe 70-30, 60-40. I don't know. They're not 50-50 is the point. But they don't fold down completely flat. And when they're all the way down, you get continuous errors on the screen that the rear passenger doesn't have a seatbelt on. So the sensor in the seat when you have something loaded in here and the seats folded down, it's telling the car that, oh, there's some weight back there. That's a passenger, and the seatbelt isn't done. Kind of crazy. That can be fixed with a software update, I'm sure.
Yeah, you would hope so. Yeah, and your rear headroom is pretty good as well, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit less.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like I'm at the same height, but maybe it's the curvature, right? So it's curving back. I definitely feel the heat here now, and it's very hot here today. And that sun back here is directly, I can definitely feel that warmth. And my AC is really not on at all right now. So I'm starting to sweat. But yeah, I suppose if you're in a hot or sunny climate, you're going to want to consider one of those covers.
Yeah. And do you think it's realistic for another 2 people behind? And do you think it's only going to be for children in the rear too, when they eventually give that feature?
The only way, in my opinion, that you're going to get a seat back there is if you move these rear seats up at least 3-4 inches, maybe more. And I don't know if they'd even have the ability to recline, because there is very little room back there. And from a height perspective, I don't know how you'd get an adult. Yeah. So I think maybe it was Sandy Monroe that was speculating that they would be rear-facing seats, which I think because of the curvature of that back window, they'd almost have to be. I don't see an adult fitting back there. Even by moving these back seats up, I'm not sure. It would have to be for children.
Got you. And what are your thoughts on the heat pump noise? That seems to be another one that everyone seems to talk about.
Good one. You know, I wrote that down too. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, a little bit of a complaint there, I guess. Yeah. It is very loud.
Yeah, so for those not aware, the Model Y is the first Tesla with a heat pump. So it's better efficiency at keeping it cool and hot. But it sounds like, I think, a fan on the outside going off at 11. So, yeah, it's been a common complaint. And I think Tesla have said that they're going to try and fix it with some form of mini recall and add in something. I'm not sure exactly what. I don't know if you know any more.
So they've got I'm going to put it on right now and let you guys hear this. It only bothers you when you're outside the vehicle. You don't hear it inside the vehicle.
Okay.
Now, you're not going to hear it. It's not really making a loud noise right now for some reason. But when I make it very cold and I step out of the vehicle, I can definitely hear it. It's very loud. Again, I don't hear it inside the vehicle, so no harm, no foul. But they are coming out with a fix for that. It's basically a cover or a wrap around the heat pump to insulate the noise.
And is the cooling and etc. as good as the Model 3, or feels the same, or is there any noticeable difference?
You know, my wife says it's not as cold. It takes longer to chill down. Maybe slightly. I'll take that trade-off for the increased efficiency that the heat pump gives you, especially in the winter, because I do a fair amount of long-distance winter driving. So that's a fair trade-off for me, but I'm not going to complain about it. It's very, very similar.
Yeah,
I really haven't noticed much.
In the UK, it's probably going to be the other way around for most of the time. We want the heat versus the cold. So, cool.
Rich, do you have time for a Q&A session? How much time do you have left?
I think I've got, I can give you a couple more minutes, sure.
Okay.
So yeah, if anyone's got a question, feel free to slowly unmute yourself and hit into Rich. If not, in the chat as well, we've got some space. So does anyone have any questions?
I can't see the chat, by the way, so if there's anything there, you can read it.
So Jason asked, how does it handle?
I'm going to say I like the handling better than the 3 because it just feels solid. Whether it's handling and driving down the road, going fast around corners, the door slamming like that, it's just a solid, it feels more solid. I took this vehicle on, it's called Lime Rock Park. It's a racetrack in Connecticut called Lime Rock. And I did the autocross in this vehicle, and I was there with Porsches and a Ferrari and a whole bunch of small Japanese cars that were drifting and everything else, and I beat a bunch of them in this thing. And I looked a little ridiculous because I was like a crossover, and all these little sports cars and these very expensive sports cars out there. But it was a lot of fun, and it did great. It was hard to get it to drift because of that low center of gravity and the weight. It is a heavy vehicle. So I really had and I turned off all the safety controls that wouldn't allow you to do that. So I was trying to do it, but I couldn't. It was hard. Very little. Handled great. I can't wait to drive it in the snow. I can't tell you about that yet.
Thanks, Rich.
Sure to be fun.
And do you use the hitch for towing, or is it just for bike carrying, like the 3?
I could use it for towing. It is rated, but I've to date only used it for my bike and ski racks. It's a bike rack, technically. Yeah.
Yeah. And the luggage store in the trunk will be on display to all, someone said. So the rear window, I guess, is tinted a bit, but without that parcel shelf, as we call it, yeah, I guess that's
what is it? The parcel shelf? Yeah. Or just a shelf, I guess we would call it here in the States. That provided, people wanted that, I heard, because it gives you a level of security in covering those things up. It didn't come with one. But to be honest, that lower section of the trunk underneath the panel is big enough for a lot of valuables.
Yeah.
I mean, not a suitcase. So if you've got something like a computer bag or something of value, you throw it down there and it wouldn't be seen. But to answer your question, that rear window and those 2 side windows in the back are tinted very, very dark. You would, even going right up to them and peeking through, you'd struggle to see what's inside.
Got you. And how robust how robust is the paint finish in your experience? Have you had any unexpected chips or poor paint quality?
No, not on the 3 either. I know there's been a lot of people yelling about that, but I have not. I did get ceramic coat on this, just because I think it looks so good long term between washes. It doesn't give you a huge amount of protection, as I understand it, but that wasn't my concern. I've never had any never had any chips, nothing. Not yet. Knock on wood.
So yeah, any other questions? I think we've covered pretty much everyone. Anyone else want to jump in?
Could I? Sorry. Hi, Will. Hi, Richard. Thanks very much for everything. It's very, very informative. Just because I think somebody else mentioned it also, the rear seat, is it just a 2/3, 1/3 split, or can the middle bit come down on its own?
No, the middle can't.
Okay. Thank you.
Wait, let me confirm that.
Because it looked like there's a separate handle, so I'm just curious.
Yeah. So we have the headrest that can come up. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I knew that.
Oh yeah, so it's got like the metal bar.
Like the ski hatch thing. That's great.
Yeah, and it's got that funky little bar here. Yeah. I don't think I've ever done that, but you're right.
So presumably you can't put down the seat nearest to you, Rich, without that center one also coming down.
I guess so.
Yeah, because it would pull the other one down, wouldn't it? Yeah.
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 Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's another one. If you haven't got a ski rack for the back, that would make sense for your skis to go through.
Yeah,
I want to point something out about the Model Y over the Model X. If someone is looking at, one of the bigger Teslas, one of the pros of the Y is that you can put a roof rack on the top compared to the Model X, where you wouldn't have that option.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I would do that. I would put the skis down the center, or I would get a rack for the back, but that's just me.
Yeah, it's nice to have that option, isn't it?
It is, and I saw a lot of them when I was out in Tahoe in California this past winter. I think every single Tesla out there had a rack on its roof. But I don't know. I just think I'm kind of a stickler with the efficiencies, and I want to get as much juice out of this as I can, as much mileage as I can.
Perfect. And then I think just one last walk around the outside, and then I think unless anyone else has any questions, I think we're done. I do agree the dechroming does look great.
Yeah, I thought the wheels were worth it as well. The upgrade, those 20-inch induction wheels. They're black. I like the style. I agree with the chrome delete.
Yeah, it does look great. So is there any other modifications you're planning or thinking of doing?
No, I don't think so.
No. Yeah, it seems pretty perfect.
I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
Good stuff.
And I believe the front is 1 inch higher than the Model 3. The ground clearance, I think you have about 1 inch more than the Model 3. I don't know what that translates to in centimeters, sorry, but a little bit more.
Yeah. Rich, what did you have in your frunk? Did I notice there was a red box? Was that?
Oh, that's my license plate. That was my license plate bracket. In the state of New York, you have to, in theory, have a front license plate, and I don't want to. I can put that on. That's the bandit bracket that I can get on there if I need to, but I prefer not to have it. And I'm definitely not going to drill into the car to mount a plate.
Yeah.
They give you the 2A tape. Yeah, they give you the 2A tape when you get it with the plastic bracket at the dealership, but that's not for me. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Sadly, in the UK, they always insist on it because I think it's an EU law where they destroy the cars or they drive them into a brick wall for testing. It has the brackets on, so they have to legally sell you a car with the bracket on, and it's so painful because 20% of people, first thing they do is remove that, and then there's screw holes in the bumper, and you're like, so frustrating. Yeah, it's one of those things.
They tried to stick it on when I picked it up, and I said, no, stop. I'll take that. And go
from there. All right, one last shout out. Anyone else for any more questions? I know we need to give Rich some time now to shoot off.
Was the central cut screen with a matte cover from factory, or was that an addition?
Good question. You noticed that, huh?
Somebody else did. I just repeated it.
Yes. That is I actually had that on my 3, and I took it off of the screen on the 3, and I reinstalled it on here without any problem.
Okay.
They say you can't do that, but mine went on smooth, no bubbles. I like the matte finish on the screen, less glare.
Yeah, it looks smart. So someone asked, is the hitch a factory option?
It is now.
It is now, yeah.
Yeah, it just became an option about a month ago. It is pricey, but and of course you get the warranty with that. I don't have a warranty, at least a Tesla warranty with my hitch. But if you look up Eco Hitch, there's some pretty good videos about the product, and you can even self-install. People have done that and posted videos. I wasn't going to take the back of my car apart to do it, so I paid it was like $200 for a Tesla authorized auto body shop nearby to do it.
Yeah, on the Tesla website, at least in the US, it's showing up as $1,000, and it's capable of 3,500 pounds for towing.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Rich. That's quite interesting. One question for you. Do you have the same problems on the Y with the back lights getting condensation in them as we do with the 3 over here?
Good question. I had that problem on my 3 with the front left parking light, never on the rear lights. So the front left parking light, they swapped it out, no questions asked. I have not had that problem on this vehicle. I haven't noticed it yet. Nope.
Oh, it's quite common in the UK. We get odd problems with condensation on either the inner or the outer rear lights, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason to, you might get a problem with the inner left, but the inner right is okay, which is crazy.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I have not seen that yet.
Thanks a lot. Nice Model Y, by the way. Very nice.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Can't wait for you guys to get it as well.
Perfect. Well, we will leave it there, Rich. I just want to say thank you on behalf of everyone that's tuned in this evening, and also everyone that's going to watch it afterwards, and also to Stephen from the New York club as well. It's much appreciated, your time, and thank you.
Anytime, if there's any follow-up questions, you guys can, I'm sure, go through our club website or Steven, and he can get them over to me. Happy to chat with you offline.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Rich. Cheers.
Thank you.